Hi, it's John. Welcome to my channel EV Intuition, where I'm helping you understand about electric vehicles. A couple weeks ago here in the United States, we had a big national election for president, and the voters voted and elected President Trump, or former President Trump, to become the new president starting in 2025. Not only that, the Republicans also won the majorities in the House and Senate, which really puts into play a new administration starting in 2025. And there's been a lot of conversations out there about, well, what does this mean for electric vehicles? Well, the real answer is nobody really knows except the president himself and the administration. But I want to share with you today my opinions on what does that mean. So let's get started. So today I wanted to talk about what does this election results in the United States mean for electric vehicles going forward. Starting in 2025, the Republican administration will take over the presidency and have majorities in the House and the Senate. So you know that their policies are going to become prevalent. And so what does that mean for electric vehicles? Well, the background here is, unfortunately, electric vehicles have been a partisan issue. Now, what caused that partisan divide? Well, it's difference in policies is what I believe it is. You have, on the Democratic liberal side, a very strong push for green initiatives. And why is that? Because climate change is front and center of their big issues. And they have pushed for green initiatives, and one of them is electric vehicles, which provide less greenhouse emission. So they have put in place and pushed bills that support that. And one of them was the Inflation Reduction Act, which was inappropriately named, and everybody would agree with it. It had very little to do with inflation, but inflation at the time was the big thing burning holes in people's pocket. So it sounded good, but really what it was a very green bill and pushed for environmental things. And EVs were front and center on that. Pushed for two main things. It gave subsidies to electric vehicle consumers on the purchase of it. A big part of that was the $7,500 tax credit that you got for certain vehicles made in the US and had their batteries made here also. And the other aspect of it was providing billions of dollars for EV infrastructure, which included chargers and the standardization of chargers and minimum requirement of chargers throughout the United States. So that's what the Inflation Reduction Act was all about. The Republicans opposed it I think on principle. They knew it had nothing to do with inflation, so they voted no. Democrats voted yes. It got passed and it became law, and funds have started with that. So that's one aspect of it, the divide there. The other aspect that separates these two partisan was the mandates. The Democrats have pushed for EV mandates in some form or another. Some Democratic states have, like California. And then there was talk from a federal point of view to put in EV mandates, which rub against a Republican core issue, which is freedom to choose. They like that you shouldn't be forced to buy a certain electric vehicle, just as you shouldn't be forced to have a particular type of electric or gas range, in your home. So it's freedom versus climate change that rubs these two. And what has that led to is that there's a lot of partisan information out there in the press. The Democrats have pushed hard for EVs, saying everybody should have an EV. And then the Republican conservative press has been saying, oh, EVs are terrible. They too expensive. They don't work well in cold weather, et cetera, et cetera. And both of these have really pushed falsehoods, I think, on electric vehicles. And that's one of the reasons I've done this channel, is to try to give objective information on EVs. I want you to know the truth and help you decide whether an EV fits for you or not. I don't believe in mandates. I believe you should have the choice. But I'm also not blind to the fact that EVs have a lot of advantages, including for the environment. They are good for the environment. They release less greenhouse gas emissions than a gas vehicle over the life of the vehicle. There's no question about that. That's not even something to debate. So, but I think both sides have pushed the wrong way, and it's become this political football. So I find that discouraging, but that's what this channel is about. I try to provide you objective information, the pros and cons of owning an EV. I've owned an EV, a couple EVs here, and it's been great for me. But I don't think it's for everybody. So anyway, that's one of the reasons why I say if you like the content of my channel, please subscribe and give me a like and watch many of the other videos that I've done. Now, well, what does this mean going forward in the United States for electric vehicles now that it's a partisan issue? So that's what some people are concerned with. If you're a Democrat and you like the fact that there was a lot of incentives for EVs, well, you might be saying, well, I'm concerned now. What's going to happen to EVs? So let me give you my opinion on that. My bottom line is I don't think EVs are going to suffer. There's too many advantages on EVs, and many people do like EVs and are sold on them. I'm one of them. EVs are not going to go away. I don't think the EV growth will be stunted much by this new administration. And here's why. I think there's a couple reasons why for this. Is first of all, you got to realize that I found this chart of where many EV investments are, and it showed the 10 states that had the biggest amount of EV investments. And if you look at them, the top 9 are states that went for the Republican administration. So you know that the Republican administration is not going to bite the hands of many of these states and try to reduce them. These states want to continue this. This means jobs and economic success for these states. So you know that these Republican states still want to see EVs exist in them. So I think that's a big part of it. So you know the Republican administration is going to continue to help the EV industry, maybe not as loudly as the Democratic administration has in the past. The second thing is Elon Musk. Now, he's a controversial figure for many people. He is one that supported Trump through the election and now seems to be playing some role in the Trump administration. Elon Musk owns Tesla, which is the biggest electric vehicle manufacturer in the United States. And so he's not going to shut down the EV world because he's got one of the key figures in the EV world working for him. So I think those are two big things to keep in mind, that EVs are not going to be hurt much in this administration. Now, are changes likely to happen? Of course, yes, because they have different incentives, different pushes for where they want to go with their administration. Here's a couple things that I think are likely to happen. First of all, I think the EV mandate conversation is dead, right? There was talk in the Democratic administration about pushing that so many EVs must be sold, or a certain percentage by a certain date going forward. I think that conversation is going to stop, okay? Republicans value freedom in not mandating what you need to buy. And I think that's a good thing. The second thing is EV manufacturing and component manufacturing. Trump's a big pusher for America First, and he wants manufacturing to exist here. And there are certain aspects of EV manufacturing that too much of it is being done in China and other places. Many of the minerals that go into the components of a battery are mined in other countries. So I think there'll be a push to make that happen in the United States, which is a good thing. Now, the big unknowns. What's going to change and what may change? I think, first of all, a big part of the Inflation Reduction Act was spending billions of dollars on EV infrastructure. I think that's a big question of what parts of that will continue and what parts will be halted or slow rolled, one of the two. So that's I think that's a big thing that we've got to expect, that there's probably going to be some changes to the rollout. And one big part of that was called the NEVI, the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Program. I think there might be parts of that, such as funding to the states, that might slow down. I think the standardization around electric vehicle chargers, so that you have one app to access all the information you need about finding a charger and how much does it cost, etc. I think that's all good things, and hopefully that will continue to go through. The other aspect that is likely to change is around consumer subsidies, in particular the federal tax credit. There's been some talk already that maybe these will go away. I can see some of that happening. Okay, that was a very nice windfall for people who wanted to buy EVs. Well, if you didn't want to buy EVs, it was your tax dollars going for somebody else. So I get how some people didn't like that. Now, I took advantage of that federal tax credit for the two vehicles I bought, the Ford Mustang Mach-E and the Tesla Model Y. And yeah, they helped me significantly. But I always say around the government, take advantage of the things that they're willing to provide you, because you've paid for it with your tax dollars, so you might as well take advantage of it, and I did. The bottom line is, going forward, I don't think EVs are going to suffer too much. They're still going to grow. If you look at the advantages of EVs, there are many, okay? And I think that's going to propel them, and more people are going to get into EVs and find they really like them compared to gas vehicles. So if you're worried about the state of EVs, my opinion is don't worry about it. It'll be fine. And continue listening here. I'll provide you with objective information on EVs going forward and the changes that are happening. So thank you for watching today. I hope I alleviated maybe some fears of what's going to happen, or if you're considering buying an EV today, now might be a good time to buy it. The subsidies, the federal tax credits are still there, and the market is soft, which means the prices are low. So if you're doing it, now might be a good time to push forward and join us in the EV world. So take care. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.